Guys, so we have a story of what comes around goes around. You reap what you sow, you make your bed, you have to lay in it. A lot of leftists don't understand this. When they try to wipe away history, when they try to tear down statues, tear down monuments, vandalize historical artwork that paints a picture of history, that a lot of people who are very patriotic, who love this country, who love our history, are not going to be okay with it. And because they're not going to be okay with it, your attempts to rewrite history, which is a failed attempt at righting wrongs. You cannot change history. History is not black and white. It is gray. We must deal with it. We must accept it, but we should not erase it or we're doomed to repeat it. But the leftists want to erase it. And in their attempts to do so, they are going to fail because you're going to reap what you sow. And that is what happened, allegedly, with the vandalism of the Breonna Taylor statue, which I didn't even know there was a Breonna Taylor statue. I knew there was a mural or something like that. But now there's a statue and that has been vandalized. But before we get into that, my name is Greg Foreman and you're watching A Black Conservative Perspective. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share A Black Conservative Perspective, aka a leftist worst nightmare. You can also follow me on Twitter at GForemanBCP. Let's get it. All right, guys. Wow. I did not think I would be doing another story about Breonna Taylor. Because when this was peak, I hated talking about it. I got tired of talking about it. But this is a good story because this is a backdrop to kind of what I've been alluding to in regards to how when you try to erase our understanding of history, right? People are not going to just roll over and let it go. And when you try to replace that history, people are not going to accept it. What the leftists are trying to do is they're trying to get rid of the George Washingtons and Lincolns of the world because they see those people as bad people, right? Even though they were historical figures, presidents of the United States. Lincoln helped end slavery. He was friends with Frederick Douglass, who was probably the most prominent and famous abolitionist of that time. Probably the second most famous civil rights figure outside of Martin Luther King. None of these people were perfect, but for some reason, leftists feel like they have the right to decide what was the appropriate moral compass for the time. And like I said, because of that, there are consequences to those actions. So a Breonna Taylor sculpture was smashed by vandals in California. A bus sculpture honoring police shooting victim Breonna Taylor was smashed by vandals over the weekend, prompting a probe by Oakland police, according to reports. The memorial, installed 2 weeks ago in downtown Latham Square, was smashed in several places sometime Saturday, ABC affiliate KGO-TV reported. The bus includes a plaque that reads, quote, "Say her name, Breonna Taylor," the station said. Quote, "At first, I was stunned and shocked and hurt and angry." Artist Leo Carson, who created the sculpture, told the outlet, quote, "Just a bunch of emotions," he said. "It felt like I was personally attacked, and also they attacked Breonna Taylor and the BLM movement." Now, this should not be a surprise. I mean, again, Black Lives Matter is pretty unpopular, and Black Lives Matter has attacked a ton of historical monuments and figures all over the country. Okay? So if they're attacking historical monuments and figures, what makes you think that people that are opposed to Black Lives Matter are not going to attack Black Lives Matter monuments? I mean, this is how it goes. I mean, life is a two-way street, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't expect to do something to somebody else or to do harm on others and think they're not going to respond, retaliate. This is what you should expect. Taylor, a 26-year-old EMT technician, was shot and killed in her home in Louisville, Kentucky, during a botched raid on March 3rd. Again, that's the mainstream, narrative on that. I'm not gonna get into it. At the end of the day, her family got paid, millions of dollars of settlement. Obviously, that doesn't replace a life. I personally believe that it was an accident, but for whatever reason, they want to paint this out to be some sort of act of racism, like some tragedy that happened purely because of race. And I really don't believe it had anything to do with racism. If anything, if you want to paint a culprit, paint the culprit on the drug war, right? Put the drug war as the culprit. Don't call it race. Say the drug war. And I would be like, okay, I'll give you that, right? Because I believe that's generally true. But people gotta understand there are unintended consequences to your actions, right? And that's what people gotta understand about life. And, you know, I'm not saying that Breonna Taylor deserved anything, right? I'm very sad that she was killed. I really am. But at the end of the day, you know, when you hang around certain people and you put yourself in certain situations where you end up on a police warrant or end up being a person of interest from the police, from being involved in certain activities, sometimes mistakes and accidents happen. That's human nature. That's why I say blame the drug war. It's tragic. They should be fighting against that. Taylor's death and the May 25th police custody death of George Floyd in Minneapolis were among the catalysts that sparked massive Black Lives Matter protests throughout the world, including in the Bay Area. Oakland police said a statement that a report had been filed in the vandalism of the Taylor bus and that people were investigating the incident. Carson said that he paid for the statue out of my own pocket. Well, I mean, why you pay for it out of your own pocket? You should go to BLM, right? Like, go to BLM and ask them for the money. I mean, what? BLM related movements got $10 billion reportedly. So you should go to them and ask them for the little 5 G's. They'll hook you up. They should, right? They got the money for it. So it just says he hopes to raise the money through GoFundMe. Again, if you donate to that GoFundMe, you a fool, man. If you donate to something like that, he should just go to BLM and ask them for the money, right? At least there'll be something tangible that you can see they spent the money on besides the salaries of these paid activists. But anyways, man, like, I'm not surprised about this bus being vandalized. What comes around goes around. This is something that you expect. My position has always been, if you don't like history, what you do is you don't replace it. You just build upon history. You put up your own statues. And if you're not tearing down the statues of the past, most likely people are not going to bother with the statues of the future. And then you just tell the whole story of history. And I'm not necessarily even sure that Breonna Taylor deserves or needs a statue, right? If she get a statue, then any young woman that is killed because of some drug related incident should probably get a statue as well, because I'm pretty sure there are more young women that are killed from drug related violence on accident who was caught up, you know, hanging out with the wrong people at the wrong time, who may not necessarily have been directly involved, but was wrong place, wrong time, that are killed every single day because they made the wrong choices. Should those women get statues? Now, this is just a part of the big grift, really, in my opinion. I'm not even sure if the vandalism was done by somebody that doesn't even like Breonna Taylor, because the New York Times has been pushing the Breonna Taylor story lately more, right? So they're trying to recreate a picture of what happened during that night, and they're just not letting it go, even though this has all been settled legally. It's all been settled. They're not letting it go. And you see, grifter number one, Ben Crump, out here, you know, retweeting this, again, still trying to get brownie points off of this narrative, right? So they're not letting it go away. And it just so happened that a statue was vandalized a couple days before this comes out. I don't know, man. That's quite a coincidence, in my opinion. I'm not sure why Breonna Taylor even has a statue in the first place. Again, I just do feel bad for her death. I just think that, you know, the liberal media continue to play this race card, continue to keep pushing this story, It's really annoying, and it's something that they really just got to move on past this. I mean, things have been settled. The legal system has worked itself out. It is what it is. Let's just move on.
This is Patrick, and he used to make around $500 a month online. Less than 1 year later, he hit his best month
and go from there. But they want to be stuck on it because there's more money to be made. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.